Well, that was annoying. Welcome to the Knicks Film School post-game show powered by BetUS, where we will talk about all the reasons why that was an extraordinarily annoying 120 to 111 loss to the Detroit Pistons at home at Madison Square Garden, where the Knicks were not able to extend their 4-game winning streak, where they were not able to finish off their homestand on a high note. And where I'm just going to start here. I know this is probably not at the forefront of many people's minds, but it is certainly at the forefront of mine, where they certainly did not honor the, I don't know how many of them we would call legends, but just the alumni. Let's call it the alumni that were in the house for this thing that the Knicks organization concocted for tonight, where they were going to have a bunch of former Knicks back in the building. I don't know what the final number was. It seemed like it was in the dozens. They did not honor those guys, and I, or maybe I guess there were some Knicks there that were on some not so great teams, so maybe they did honor them in their own way, because this was not a great effort. And like, this is for a crummy loss, a bad loss on a Saturday night. That is not like, it's not an alarming loss. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is a really concerning loss. You can't say that about a game or a team that came into this game with the best net rating in the league over the last, whatever it was, 12 or 13 games. Like, even teams that are good have off nights, and nobody brings it all 82 games. I get all that. It's a bad loss. It's an annoying loss. And I will go so far as to say it's not an inexcusable loss, because they had one big excuse right off the bat. No Karl Anthony Towns tonight. Also, no campaign for another game. So, like, again, I don't want to throw around too many superlatives, because for as frustrated as I think a lot of us are feeling right now, I don't think the loss is worthy of those, that sort of language. But I after the first thing I said, which is that you didn't honor the legends that were in the house, the next most annoying thing for me is that this was a game where you came out without any kind of level of seriousness or engagement or connectivity or attention to detail or attachment to one another. Any of those things. Forget transition defense. This was as bad a transition defense in the first 5-6 minutes of the game as you're going to see a good team play. You didn't come out with any of that. You were sloppy with the ball pretty much the whole game. And yes, Jalen Brunson, I know you had a really nice scoring night. I'm looking at you, man, because it's very rare that we have to be critical of Jalen Brunson for his playmaking and how he leads the show and his ball control and all that sort of stuff, especially this year, where he has been one of the top, guys in that category in the league, to say nothing of his scoring exploits. But, you had the defense, you had the kicking the ball around, you had a lack of attention to detail on the defensive glass. I don't know how many offensive rebounds that the Detroit Pistons ended up with, but it was too many. You had all that. You had no Towns. You had no Payne. You were out there, you had a rookie out there playing, 58th pick in the draft, playing significant minutes. We're going to talk about Huck Porty. I think he did some nice things. I think he did mostly nice things. Let's just leave it at that. I think he did mostly nice things. And I don't think anybody on the Knicks played particularly well. Who had a good game for the Knicks tonight? I'm looking up and down. I mean, yeah, I don't know that I could say that any one player had what I would define as a good game compared to what expectations would be. You want to tell me Huck Porty? Given that, again, he's a rookie, he's the 58th pick in the draft, and he came in and he gave them a nice spark, on the defensive side of the ball, him and Precious. It was great to see Precious out there. We're going to talk a lot about Precious and the defense that he was able to play and what that portends for the Knicks going forward. So you had nobody played a good game. He had all the other stuff I talked about. And yet, despite all of that, this was a 2-point game in the fourth quarter. So that for me, almost as much as the fact that you came out there and you disrespected all the former Knicks that were in the house, that's why this game is going to stick in my craw. I know they had won 4 in a row. I know, the team's been by and large playing much better. This was not a night where they hit threes. I think they finished under, actually, hold on. Let me update my page here. They finished under a third of their threes made. So that was another thing. Oh, I forgot the free throws. The best free throw shooting team in all of the NBA. Sure enough, I sent out a skeet yesterday saying the Knicks are making a run a quarter of the way through the season at being the first team in NBA history to have a 50, 40, 80 shooting season. So what do they do tonight? They go out there and they shoot under 60% from the free throw line. They went 16 to 27. So you miss 11 free throws and a 9-point loss. I like, how about that for some symmetry? So again, the reasons I could make a Jenga tower out of the reasons that this loss was annoying. And if you want to have the top row of that Jenga tower be the fact that, and I'm a shout out Kevin Danishevsky, who had on the halftime Zoom, shout out to all the Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers. He's like, famous last words, but he's like, you know what? I'm actually happy that they're in this game because they could use a tough win. And obviously he knew what he was saying. And it's like, well, I'd much rather an easy win than an attempt at a tough win that ends up in a loss. But I got what he was going for, right? Because this team has not, had many toe-to-toe battles down the stretch where they have come out on top. That's why, I think this game was very reminiscent of the Bulls game. Although they managed to that got down to the wire. It was like honestly, it was a combination of the Bulls game and the Jazz game. The Bulls game had the big comeback. There was a big comeback at the end of the third quarter in this one. We're going to talk about that. And it was also like the Jazz game too, because like they came out, were not serious enough on defense, and they let Utah get in a rhythm, and then to the point where they couldn't get them out of the rhythm that they had gotten themselves into. Much like tonight, lo and behold, Detroit Pistons, 50% from three. So this is now the third time in the last however many games it happened against Utah, and it happened against Dallas. So the Knicks' last 3 losses, they've allowed a team to shoot 50% from three. Now, you could look at that if you want, and you could say, and this is going to get us into the more substantive analysis of the game, as opposed to all the things that I'm just annoyed with. You could look at that and you say, well, that's a good sign, right? It takes teams shooting 50% from three to beat the Knicks. Okay, if you want to look at it like that, you could look at it like that. That's fine. But, well, just to finish off my previous point, I'm going to go back to the 3-point shooting. They couldn't stay connected, and they let go of the rope at home. So that was annoying. Back to the 3-point shooting. I kind of look at it a different way, which is that when you come out and you do not give the level of attention to detail in how you are defending basic shit, and you allow pretty much any NBA team. I was gonna make a joke, any NBA team outside of the Wizards, but guess what? The Wizards tonight went and beat the Nuggets with Nikola Jokic putting up one of the greatest stat lines you'll ever see in an NBA game. So I guess if you're frustrated as a Knicks fan right now, just be thankful you're not a Nuggets fan. Anyway, if you come out with that without the attention to detail on defense, you're going to get burned. And it is a tightrope to walk. If you're going to be like, it's all right, we'll flip the switch when the time comes. And we've seen them do this lately. They kind of started poorly in, their last game against the Hornets. They obviously started very poorly in the Hornets game before that. I'm pretty sure If I'm probably they started poorly against the Magic, and they overcame that. So like, this is becoming a little bit too much of a habit where the attention to detail is not there out of the gate, and they are letting these teams get comfortable. And if you let teams get comfortable, you're going to get stat lines like Cade Cunningham, 5 of 8 from behind the arc. Malik Beasley, 7 of 10 from behind the arc. Now, Malik Beasley has been one of the best 3-point shooters in basketball for several years now, which makes it both more excusable and much, much less excusable, because it's like, yeah, a guy like that is capable of getting hot. The fact that he got some of the looks that he did, and look, I've been very critical of them. The Knicks, I want to give credit where credit is due. They fell down by 17 points in the first half. They fought all the way back. They got it to within 2. I thought their run, I know Cade Cunningham was off the floor, but I thought their run at the end of the third quarter, the last 5 minutes of the third quarter, that's the best defense that we've seen this team play all year, which is reason number 18 or whatever the hell I'm up to, why this game was annoying. Because in a game or for a 5-minute stretch, I know Cade was off the floor, even considering that, where they played, I thought, their best stretch of defense that they have played in the entire season. In that same game, you saw all of this poppycock defense. And was there a more symbolic moment of that than as they are trying to make that run? After they made the run, after the Pistons pushed back, but they got it down to, I think it was 115, 109? They were like trying to make one like last push, or actually what ended up being probably like the second to last or the third to last push, whatever it was. But they were making their little run, and then I think the Pistons called timeout. So yeah, I think it was down to 6. And what happens out of the timeout? There's a double up top, because that's what they decided to start doing. They decided to start doubling Cade. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And all it was miscommunication between OG Anunoby and Josh Hart, who I think you'd probably argue have been the Knicks' 2 best defenders pound for pound on the year. You want to give me a little deuce in that conversation? All right, I'll hear that. Little tip of the cap to campaign, but like, we're talking about OG Anunoby and Josh Hart. Are there any 2 defenders from this Knicks season who you want involved in an action with the defensive action with the game on the line? The answer is no. And those 2 guys got mixed up, and Malik Beasley had he checked the seams. Like, that tells me, and now I'm going to get into, or I'm going to kind of start to wrap it up, and we'll get to the super chats with like the substantive analysis of this game, which is that the fact that they can still have this type of game defensively is a sign that they have not figured it all out yet, number one. Number 2, this is not all on Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know that anybody really thought it was, but for anybody who maybe did think it was, this is not all on Karl Anthony Towns. But, and I'm gonna try to end on a positive here. So you saw them struggle defensively out of the gate. Then I thought they played better defense in the second quarter. It still didn't work great. And then they started to get back into the game in the third quarter, they started going with a really much more aggressive style and doing something which we really don't see them do hardly ever. And they have not done really, if at all, this year. I don't think they've done it much, which is starting to put 2 on the ball and then trusting the rotation, not only trusting the rotations, but trusting that in applying more ball pressure, you're going to end up with some turnovers, which they did in the third quarter. And that's how they got back in the game. And it was awesome to see. So it is game 23, and they are still experimenting. Now, is it experimentation out of necessity because the Pistons were absolutely merciless in putting Jalen Brunson in action after action after action, and that is the advantage that you can get when you have a 6 foot, whatever the hell Cade is, 6'7" lead ball handler, and he's surrounded by size and shooting. In a weird way, this is actually a really, I know the Knicks have won 8,000 games against the Pistons in a row before tonight, but all of a sudden, this Pistons team has become a little bit of a tricky matchup for the Knicks, especially on a night like tonight where your best option at center is 6'8" in Precious Achiuwa. So, and obviously you didn't have Towns to stretch the Pistons defense in the way, and I thought some of the Knicks offensive struggles tonight, it should go without saying, it should be the lead of this game. The first thing you say about this game is that Karl-Anthony Towns didn't play, because it absolutely was massive. But if we're talking about the stuff on defense, anyway, so they're still trying stuff. And I like that. Did it go well tonight? No. Not always. It went well for a while, and it was really it was cool to see for a while. At the end of the day, did they give up more than they got from it, with all the open shots especially in the fourth quarter? Yeah, they did. But it's a work in progress. And we knew that this season would be, or at least for me, it would be an 82-game work in progress to try to figure out how they are going to put forth not only a serviceable defense, but a defense that could reach something more than serviceable and be really good. And again, we saw that tonight. So good job by them for a period of time. And a versatile defense. And that's the other part that I'm coming out of this kind of encouraged. This worked for a while. And it's not something that we've necessarily seen a lot. Couple more things. A big part of the fact why they were able to play this defense and why I'm very fascinated by the minutes distribution moving forward at the backup center position, as well as what they may try to do with the trade deadline. Because a big part of what they were trying to do involved switching Precious Achiuwa and having not a switch 1 through 5 defense, because they weren't switching Brunson, but they were switching Achiuwa left and right, and you could do that with Precious. And that was giving the Pistons real problems. With Hukporti, I thought they tried some aggressive defense with him as well. Not quite as switch everything as Achiuwa, but what they did with Hukporti, I thought Hukporti did a couple of nice things. Also, some not nice things, again, because he's a rookie. But I thought he gave them some decent minutes. So that's interesting to me. And it is interesting to me for a lot of reasons, which we don't have to talk too much about right now, but I just wanted to note that we saw it. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and give the autograph signature moment of the game. I know this was not when they got their closest, but my favorite moment of the game was the Precious Achiuwa block. It was after they made a nice defensive play, but the ball somehow ended up, I think it was back in Jalen Duren's hands. And I don't know how Precious Achiuwa blocked the shot at the rim, but he somehow blocked the shot at the rim. He got the ball to Jalen Brunson, who then got the ball back to Precious Achiuwa on what was Jalen Brunson's, might have been his best pass of the season. I know he did not have a great game playmaking, too many turnovers, but that was his best pass of the season for a dunk and what should have been an and one. Of course, Precious Achiuwa misses the and one, and there's OG Anunoby for a putback to essentially cap a I kind of consider it a 6-point play, because the fact that you took 2 off the board at the other end with the Achiuwa block, and then you got the Achiuwa dunk and then the Anunoby dunk. It brought it down to a 7-point game. And they kept pushing after that and eventually got it to within 2, and then, ran out of gas. So it is what it is. Again, that was our autograph signature moment of the game. Shout out to Autograph. Go download the Autograph app. Use code KFS when you do, so you can go in there and do all the stuff that you love to do already. Listen to podcasts, watch YouTube clips, read newsletters or blogs or anything you do, and get rewarded for your fandom with Autograph. Okay. I think I hit on everything that I wanted to hit. I'm sure there's a minutes conversation to be had tonight. Jalen Brunson played 44. I don't think he sat in the second half. That is a lot. I know he didn't play hardly. He only played 27 minutes in the last game, but he was also a game time decision tonight. And for a guy who was a game time decision to play 44 minutes that's something, to say nothing of Anunoby with 39 and Bridges with 38 and Josh Hart with 39. Shout out to Josh Hart. Not a happy camper tonight. Not a happy camper. But again, this is what you get when no Towns, no campaign. And when you have a starter in Jericho Sims, I haven't said Jericho Sims' name, and that's probably because I forgot he even played tonight. Played 6 minutes. Started the game, played 6 minutes, didn't check back in. And honestly, we've seen games like that before, by the way. I'm not sure I blame Tibbs, because Sims right now, and someone, it was a commenter in the newsletter who made this comment. I forget who it was. I apologize. I wish if I had it up, I'd give you credit, but it was a good comment. There is an inconsistency with Sims that is not really tenable for a role player of his nature. The whole thing about role players is you come in and you play your role. And Sims has been very hot and cold this year. Started the season cold, then he got hot, and now he's back to being cold. So I don't mind the quick hook, because Sims thus far in his career, like when he doesn't have it at start, you kind of know he doesn't have it. And I personally didn't want to see any more Sims after his opening stint in this game. So yeah, there was that. Last thing, and then we'll start the super chats. Shout out to Cade Cunningham. He is, I mean, it's a little early for this because we still have, close to 20 games to go before we even reach the midway point of the season. But I would be pretty hard pressed to find 12 Eastern Conference players that are more deserving of an all-star nod than Cade Cunningham. And this was as good a game as certainly I have seen him play. Not only against the Knicks, I think this was as good a game as I've seen him play. And, I know this, people could focus on the second half, and they weren't able to complete the comeback and all that. They were sloppy and they didn't play great defense and all that stuff. Throughout the entire first half, it seemed like every time the Knicks were trying to make that push to, you heard Breen talk about it. Every time they were trying to make that push to get it under 7, 8, 9, 10 points, whatever, there was Cade Cunningham with a big three. And he had five threes tonight. All of them were in the first half. And sometimes first half threes could be even more important than second half threes, because I thought the Knicks, if they had gotten it back to basically tied or within a possession or something in that first half, they were going to win this game. And the fact that Cade always had a three for him when they got it to within kind of sort of striking distance, I thought that was so big, to say nothing of his passing and just complete and total control. I think Cade Cunningham was a plus 16 in this game, and that probably doesn't really even speak to his impact. 29, 15, and 10. Outstanding game from Cade Cunningham. So shout out to him. Okay. That's it. Let's see what folks want to talk about. I have a few guesses. Knicks Enjoyer. How you doing, Knicks Enjoyer? Hard to say which way this one goes, but I think it's clear that Huck Porty needs to be getting more minutes. Sims has been decent recently, but Huck has that X factor that gets us going. Again, I thought Huck Porty was pretty good tonight. That said, he was a minus 13 in the game. Is that dispositive of how he played? I mean, played 15 minutes, got 2 rebounds. I don't love that. He's obviously a lob threat. I like that a lot. Jalen Brunson found him on a couple lobs. That was awesome. He had a dribble move and a finish, which when you compare it to the dribble move that Jericho Sims tried to do in the first quarter, holy cow. Talk about night and day. I like Huck Porty. I like Huck Porty a lot. He's a rookie. And when you are asking a rookie big man to execute Tom Thibodeau defensive schemes, when like a guy like OG Anunoby, who I think should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I mean, he had a second straight game with I think it was 4 blocks and 2 steals, or did I get it mixed up? 4 steals and 2 blocks. Second straight game with 4 steals and 2 blocks. Someone tweeted out, I retweeted them. First Nick to do that in 2 consecutive games since Patrick Ewing. Pretty good. When you have a guy like OG Anunoby messing up the occasional defensive scheme here, because Tibbs is asking his wings to do so much, as he needs to ask a rookie center to like do all this stuff and not mess up. It's a lot to ask. And Sims has had a couple bad games in a row now. Is that it? Is he done? Are we going to put him in mothballs? I don't know. But Hugportia did some nice things tonight. Thank you, Knicks Enjoyer. Speaking of Precious, though, shout out to him. He's the only Nick. Well, actually, no, sorry. How about this? Don't call it a comeback. Well, Kolak was +4 in 4 minutes. It was nice. Achua +9 in 28 minutes. And then how about Mikal Bridges +1 in 38 minutes? Not bad. Armin Berdijaj, what's going on? Armin, you can't be a contender and continue to have these types of disgusting efforts. Oh, my goodness. We're breaking out the D word. I don't care if Cat or Prime LeBron is out. They didn't even try to play defense or rebound. It's happening way too often. Well, again, this is where we try as a fan base, collectively, we try to have some modicum of self-control. I will repeat. This has been the best team in the league for the better part of a month, if you go by net rating. You know, they came in here winning, what was it, 10 to 13 games? Or whereabouts? Yeah, sounds right. Does it happen too often? Yes. When you look at what is this team's only issue, and it's not their biggest issue because they have no issues on offense. I know they weren't great on offense tonight, but again, they don't have Towns. When they're healthy, it's their only issue is just defensive consistency. And I use that term purposefully, Armand. And I'm not trying to be too hard on you. I appreciate your comment. I do. And I don't disagree with it in principle. Because again, if you have a team that goes out there and defends like this consistently, and they have gone out there and they have defended like this consistently enough for you to say it's been too consistent for my liking, you're right. That's not a contending team. Where I go back to is you cannot look at their defense as a 10-game process or a 20-game process or even a 30 or a 40-game process. That, to me, in terms of building sustainable schemes and consistent habits, that's an 82-game process for me. You know, and I want to, where are they in the last 20 games? How many of these sorts of performances do we see in the last 20 games of the season? That's what I want to know. The fact that we're seeing them somewhat still consistently, and again, I'll go back to the same kind of things I've been saying a lot of the year. It's a veteran team. It's an older team. They're playing a lot of minutes. I guess I'll just say I am not quite as concerned as you are, especially for the reasons that I talked about before, which is they are clearly still experimenting. They're clearly still trying stuff. They're integrating a new piece now in Precious Achiuwa, which is, I think, worth noting. So I have reasons for hope, but if you watch tonight and you're like, you can't be doing this shit, I agree with you. You can't be doing this shit. But it's a long season. That's all. It's a long season. Thank you, Armin. Kevin O. Peterson. Hello, Kevin. Tibbs has been pushing a lot more of the right buttons lately, but starting Sims wasn't one of them. Good to see Precious look way more comfortable. I'm gonna push back here, Kevin. I'm only gonna say Sims had one bad game coming into tonight. I actually loved the move to start him. I loved the move to start him because if in the last game he came in, he was bad, and you benched him after 3 minutes. I don't think it was maybe it was a coincidence. I don't think it was a coincidence that Sims came in the last game, the game before this one, and played like poo-poo on the first night the Precious Achiuwa was back. I think he maybe was in his own head a little bit, and he's like, oh, shit. The minutes that I've been getting, well, now all of a sudden there's someone else here to take those minutes. And all of a sudden you see him trying to do stuff on offense that he doesn't usually try to do, maybe trying to put give them a reason like to keep him on the court, and it backfired, and he was awful. He was awful in those 3 minutes. I love that Tibbs went back to him to start tonight as like a vote of confidence, as a, hey man, everybody has a bad game. Let's get back in there, brush it off. Let's see what you got tonight. Did it work out? No, it didn't work out. He was bad. And he played 6 minutes, and in those 6 minutes, he was a -9. And the Knicks lost the game by 9. So if you want to say that, hey, you start someone else other than Precious, maybe this is a different game. That -9 was not all on Precious Achiuwa. Sims. Sorry. That -9 was not all on Jericho Sims. He didn't help, but he wasn't the entire issue. So for me, I look at it as like, I love that Tibbs started him, and I also love that Tibbs saw how he was playing and was like, well, fuck this. This is not the ship that I'm going down with tonight. And he took him out. We'll see what happens next game. Thanks, Kev. Robert W. Cross, first time, long time, it's your boy John. Was that late cut to Mitch and Cat a harbinger of what's to come? Hashtag double bigs. Maybe. I don't know. I know I really like the Knicks offense when Karl Anthony Towns is at the 5. I know they really struggled to score tonight. Like the fact that this team shot 53% from the field, they were on fire. Like they were really good from 2. Like the Knicks tonight made 31 of, holy shit. They made 31 of 45. They made more than 2/3 of their 2-point shots tonight. That is absurd. A lot of those were tough looks. And a lot of times it felt like the offense they were really, really working hard to get it. And a lot of the open 3-point looks that we have become accustomed to were not really there. All of that stuff goes to not only no Towns, but no Towns at the 5. I really like Towns at the 5. I want to see a lot more Towns at the 5. And when Towns is on the court with another big, I am very excited to see that big be Precious Achiuwa, because I really like the defensive versatility that Precious gives you. I really like the offensive versatility that Precious gives you. And I think that Mitchell Robinson, to maybe give the Knicks a bit of a different look off the bench when Karl Towns goes to rest, I think that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful idea. I think, how many minutes is that in a game? I don't know. Is that 14 minutes a game? Given how Mitch, like, where I want his energy at, and the notion of giving him like a couple of short stints every game, I kind of like that. Am I dying to see those two guys together? I know I'm the only person in the universe in Knicks land. I feel like every time I look up on social media, it's a different person being like, Judge, I saw somebody had a Mitchell Robinson coming back is like the Infinity Gauntlet getting completed or whatever. I don't. Maybe I'll be. Look, I've eaten crow before. How many times have I said it? I've eaten crow before. Maybe I'll eat crow on this. I'm not. I love this Knicks offense when it is at its best, and I want to keep that as the baseline, as the foundation of everything else. Everything else you could build off of that, but you are building off of that. Keep the Knicks offense elite for as much of the game as possible, and go from there. Thank you, Robert. Hush Zoo, what's going on, Hush? Thank you for the generous contribution. Sims just killing off any good grace he got in 72 hours is hilarious. Needed to double Kate a lot earlier. Not 2 minutes left in the fourth. Brunson, well, they didn't do it with 2 minutes left in the fourth. They did it. They were putting a lot more ball pressure. It may not have been a strict double, but they were putting a lot more ball pressure on him well before the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Brunson has to be better on defense outside of charges. He was a cone. He was bad on defense tonight. Brunson was bad on defense tonight, and I agree with you. Well, could the pressure have come earlier? I don't know. Look at how the game played out. You tried to defend using your stuff that you've been using all year. You tried it for 2.5 quarters. Wasn't working. You went to this alternative style of defense, and it got you within 2 points. That's really good. You kept going with that aggressive style of defense, and then Cade Cunningham comes back in the game after you got it down to 2, and he just picks you apart. So I've never been a fan of just like a strict hard double and like get the ball out of a guy's hands, because then then you're in scramble situations, and like the Knicks have not been great in scramble situations this year. You know? I'm more like a little like, let's put pressure on him. And then once he has like picked up his dribble, then like once we've like contained the issue, then we peel off. And then if there's another drive, then we go back on. It's like, kind of like a hybrid scheme, which I thought, again, they executed really well for a while, and then they had some trouble. Thanks, Hush. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Dud game. Would have loved a little more earlier from Bridges. I thought Bridges hurt them in the first half, and I did not think it was an accident that he sat for felt like 5, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it was in the second quarter. There is something about, and I know he's been playing a lot better of late, and he's been shooting a lot better of late, and his offensive game has been a lot better of late. And by the way, his defense in the third quarter was absolutely vital. Not good, vital to that comeback. So I want to give credit where credit is due, because that was really encouraging to see from Mikal Bridges. I thought his defense was really good tonight. Well, as good as anyone's defense, I'll say that. There is something about when he is not having a good shooting game, it reminds me a lot of RJ's bad offensive games, where you feel like it hurts. It really hurts the team, because his looks, he gets a lot of good looks, and when those looks don't go down, it's like, man, he had a couple opportunities in the first half, couple misses where it's like, if that goes down, we're right there. I don't think he shot it great tonight. He was, I'm getting it right now. He was 8 of 17 from the field. Missed the free throw. Did get to the line again, so we like that. Yeah, but yeah, no, I agree with you. Anyway, Precious looking good. Didn't cost us, but do we have the worst star home whistle? They got to the free throw line tonight 27 times. The Pistons got there 19 times. Jalen Brunson does not get a great whistle, but he does not get a great whistle. I will leave it at that. He does not get a great whistle. Okay. I think we're doing one more, and then we'll do a word from our friends at Turtle Beach. Kevin Anishevsky. Hello, Kevin. I gave you the shout out at the beginning. Bontemps could tell me all he wants about his silly rim protection stats, but tonight shows how valuable Cat is on both ends. Lost the rebounding battle, killed us. I haven't brought up the rebounding. I talked about that they got killed on the offensive glass. I will give you the full rebounding stats. Pistons, 43 rebounds. Knicks, 31 rebounds. Pistons, 9 offensive rebounds. Knicks, 4 offensive rebounds. It's really tough when your backup center or the guy you're playing a lot of backup center minutes is 6'8". Some of the rebounds I thought were a little bit bad luck. Some bounces and things. It happens. The only pushback I'll give you, Kevin, and we can talk about this next time we talk. I thought, even Precious Achiuwa at 6'8", I think you could argue he's a better deterrent at the rim than Towns. I don't know if that's a hot take. I don't think it is. But like tonight, there were a couple moments where Precious couldn't get there in time, but that was more rotation stuff. That wasn't rim protection stuff. So I don't know. And obviously I like Huck Porty. I think Huck Porty gives you a nice rim protection. But yeah, did they miss Towns on the boards tonight? Absolutely. 100%. Okay. Quick moment to hear from our good friends at Turtle Beach. Whether it's for the gamer in your life or for you to relive those holiday gaming marathons, Turtle Beach has the cheat code for the best gift of the year. For a limited time only, our listeners get 10% off their entire order when they use code KFS at turtlebeach.com. That's 10% off the entire turtlebeach.com order with promo code KFS. Don't wait. Head over to turtlebeach.com to grab your Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset, which I am wearing right now. You can see it. Love it. Awesome. Give the feeling of Christmas morning all over again. Has lots of great qualities that you're going to want to take advantage of. The Turtle Beach Stealth 700, the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset has an 80-hour battery life. I think I've used these 5 or 6 times since I've opened the box. I have not yet charged this headset once. That is due to their quick charge technology. And also they have crossplay, dual wireless transmitter system, meaning you can connect to your phone for music streaming or taking calls while also being connected to your console. Remember, Turtle Beach doesn't just have amazing headsets. They have every gaming accessory you could possibly want, all at high quality and at prices that do not break the bank. One more time, get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. TurtleBeach.com. Use code KFS. 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at TurtleBeach.com with promo code KFS. Don't delay. Get the perfect gift now. Happy holidays from Turtle Beach. Okay, let's keep it going. Tonight was a bourbon night. After that game. John Leary, what's going on? John. Mikal Bridges' offensive role still feels weird off. No Towns, and it feels like he's still not having a lot of on-ball duty. Hart has the ball more. Thanks. It's a fantastic point, John, and I thought about it as I was watching tonight. As they were struggling on offense early on in this game, I'm like, seems like a nice opportunity for Mikal Bridges. And he would get the ball a couple times. There are a couple possessions that come to mind. One in particular in the second or third quarter, I forget which, where there was a lot of pitch and toss between him and Precious Achiuwa on the right side, and it went positively fucking nowhere. And then you could see them. I forget what the result of the play was, but there was like a stoppage in play shortly thereafter. And you could see Bridges talking to Precious about like something. All right. There was a possession that I remember, and again, I forget when it was. I should have noted it down, where Bridges has the ball and he crosses half court, and I think there was a screener involved, and like nothing comes of it. Nothing comes of it. No advantage is created, and he ends up just dishing the ball off. Like, we know he's capable of more, at least in terms of scoring and tough shots. The thing that I was maybe hoping to see a little bit more of was like, can we get a little bit of like, hey, just like run pick and roll in the in the traditional sense? And that's not, maybe I'm missing it again. I don't see the game the way that Benji and DJ do, but I don't feel like we're getting much of that, where it's like, okay, well, Towns is out tonight. Brunson's doing everything, and boy, was Jalen. He was doing a lot. That's the thing. Why I feel bad being hard on Brunson, because he turned the ball over a lot. He was a game time decision, and that dude, I mean, he had the ball in his hands, and he was trying to make stuff happen on every freaking possession. He played the entire second half. So I don't want to be too critical of Brunson, because again, who else is doing stuff? You said it. It's Hart, probably more than Bridges at this point. So I wish I had a good answer for you, John. I don't, but I think it's a great point. Appreciate you, man. OG team, what's going on, OG? Didn't realize Mikal's self-creation off the dribble was this non-existent. So kind of goes hand in hand. It's not non-existent. That's not fair. It's not fair to say it's non-existent, because for him to be able to parlay a hard closeout into a mid-ranger, and he's back to hitting the middies. I thought he hit mid-rangers pretty well tonight. I'll pull up his shot chart right now. But like, is he taking advantage of someone else that has started to knock down the dominoes for him? Yes. So is it self-creation? No, not in the strictest sense. I'm actually just looking at it right now. He wasn't that good for mid-range tonight. Yeah, he had two good ones under the rim, or at the rim, and he had one miss at the rim or in the restricted area. And then he was 2 for 5 from mid-range. So not, and then there was that one foot on the line, too. Yeah, I mean, sure. It should be better. It should. I mean, I don't want to kill the guy for that, because that's not. Well, is it what they got him for? I bet that they were expecting maybe a little bit more. Maybe a lot more. I don't know. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. OF O from Jersey. O from Jersey. Don't jump out the window, y'all. We good. I'm not jumping out the window. Yeah. I thought, wait, hold on. Last year, jumping out the window was a good thing. Now jumping out the window is a bad thing. I don't know. I guess it's a versatile turn of phrase. Yeah, no, I don't. No, do I want to see them put forth a nice effort in Toronto on Monday? Yes. I have no intention of going into the NBA Cup quarterfinals on a 2-game losing streak. That I do not want. But like, and the other reason why I'm kind of going to give them a little bit of a, it's like take the season to figure it out. They're a game behind Orlando now. They're actually only a game and a half up on the Hawks. How about that? Jesus Christ. And then they are 2 games up on Miami. They're 2.5 up on Milwaukee. And then there's everybody else. But like, Milwaukee's going to keep making their push. Miami, we'll do the scoreboard a little bit later, but Miami, I think, I'm pretty sure they won tonight. And yeah, they had a nice win in Phoenix. So they'll hang around. Atlanta, we'll see if they can keep this going the whole year. I don't know. But like, with the Magic, and you hate to see it. I mean, I don't mean that facetiously. I mean, you really do hate to see it. Franz Wagner, who has been playing like an all-star this year, goes out with that injury. Like, I don't how they're going to be able to hold it together without him and Paolo for roughly the next. I mean, they'll be without Paolo for another couple of weeks, and then they'll be without Franz for however long they're going to be out. But I don't, the Knicks are going to, one way or another, the Knicks are going to be in the top 4, which that's all you want. And again, I think this could be a weird year where you might rather be 4 than 3, depending on how this Cleveland season continues to go. But we'll see. Thanks, O from Jersey. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? What is more disappointing than this loss? The shocker that our defense won't move farther away from bottom 10 against this average offense at home. I have, like, when Cade Cunningham's hitting 5 of 6 or 5 of 7 threes and a half, because the reason they're an average offense is because Cade is not, Luka from 3. Because you could go under screens on Cade. That's how you defend this team. You could go under screens on Cade. If you can't go under screens on Cade, and if Cade was like this level of 3-point shooter moving forward, then this ain't no average offense. I'll tell you that right now. Not with Beasley with providing spacing. They have some skill at the 5. Tobias Harris didn't do much tonight, but he's a perfectly fine 4, and he gives you some different options there. And like, Ivy does his thing, and Ivy's a tough matchup in his own way. Like they're, I don't know what they're probably bottom 10 in the league. I'll check it right now. But like tonight, I was impressed by the offense. Like give credit where credit's due. Like I think the offensive performance that the Pistons put forward was pretty solid. They're 22nd in offense. I think that is inclusive of this game. Inclusive of this game. The Knicks, meanwhile, if you're wondering about such things, still the best offense in the league, and their defensive rating is now 19th, which I think is where it was before tonight, roughly. Maybe they fell a spot or 2, but yeah, disappointing for sure. Thanks, Tom. Anthony Sixto with another one. Would be curious to see Mikal as the 1 or 2 options for the first quarter or the first half. Similar how they started using Randall when we got Brunson. Yeah, he's not Randall, though. He's not Randall. He's not a guy that you're going to just... I mean, Randall, for any faults Randall has or had, the one thing about Julius Randle is you could just dump the ball into Julius Randle and just be like, here, go. Go get us a decent shot attempt. And he would do that. He would go get you a decent shot attempt. That's not Bridges. I don't want them doing that with Bridges. Now, are there ways that they could figure out to try to get him a little bit more involved? Sure. I think I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. You're going to run plays for him. Sure. You should run some plays for him. I just don't know. Like, what are you hoping to accomplish with that? Because I don't know that we've seen his ability to be like a pick and roll ball handler on a consistent basis. I'd like to see more of that. I just don't know that is that in there? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's do one more, and then we'll do word from our friends at BetUS. Hush Sue with another one. Thanks, Hush. One more thing that bothered me. I wish during those string of stops, they just drove it to the rim instead of hunting for threes. It killed our momentum. You know, it's an extraordinarily fair point because I was watching. I'd be like, God damn it. You went for the kill shot and you couldn't just take the easy points. And yet, so again, I'm agreeing with you. But there's going to be a but, right? The end goal or the end result of this team that is the best version of it is a version of this team that is, I can't sit here and be like as comfortable taking threes as Boston because there's not they are one of one, but is a version of the Knicks where they're as comfortable taking threes as any team in the league besides Boston. I believe that to be the best outcome, the best end goal. Now I'm going to go back in the other direction. Does it mean you always have to take threes? Anytime they're open. Like literally, if I could get an open three, that's what I'm going to do, and that's the shot I'm going to take. No. Which is why, by the way, you saw late, they were taking threes as they were trying to make that the last frantic comeback, which is actually at that point when I thought they needed to be taking more threes. So I think they kind of just got it mixed up. Look, I'm going to be hard pressed to kill them for taking threes because of what I just said, but time and place and I hear you again. I had the same feeling in my gut watching it, so I hear you, but I think there's two sides to the coin. Thanks, Hush. All right. Let's hear from our good friends at BetUS. Are you looking for a new book this basketball season? BetUS is the answer. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, which you can take advantage of by using promo code YouTube150, which gets you 150% bonus on your first deposit, as well as 125% bonus on your next two deposits, up to $2,000. You know all the bells and whistles from BetUS by now. The 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering, best betting variety, 10% back on your net losses. It's everything you could possibly want, plus a personal account manager to boot. One more time, that promo code is YouTube150 to receive 150% bonus on your first deposit, plus 125% on your next two, up to $2,000. Remember, gambling involves risk. Gambling involves risk. Only gamble with funds that you can afford to lose. It is down to the individual to make bets with or without the assistance of the information provided. Okay. Let us get to the home stretch. Robert W. Cross. First time, long time. It's your boy, John. Have we seen the last of Sims? Huck. No. And I don't think it's now 2 bad games in a row after the guy had been really quite good for close to a month, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, whatever. I mean, he has the shortest leash. He has the shortest leash of anyone, of any non-rookie that I've seen under Tibbs. Like, we've seen this multiple times. Like, you come in, you don't have it as a reserve, 3 minutes, you're out. You start, you don't have it as a starter, 6 minutes, I'm not seeing you again. He had same thing against the Warriors, I think, last year, or the Lakers, maybe it was last year. Some game last year. No, I don't want to see the last of Sims. Give him another opportunity. Go from there. Thanks, Robert. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? Quick prediction. Detroit and Philly play each other in the play-in for the 9-10 seed. I don't think Detroit wants to tank at all. No, they're not going to. No. Detroit doesn't want to tank. They want to make the play-in. They absolutely want to make the play-in. Or, they want to make the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's nuts to assume that Detroit will be buyers at the trade deadline. I don't know who's going to be selling. But like, if you look at the East right now, Washington's done. The Hornets are done. I mean, the Hornets are feisty, but they're done. The Raptors, I think, will be sellers. They lost tonight. They're 10 games under 500. They've lost 2 in a row. So that's 3 teams right there. We've read reports that the Bulls are going to be sellers. So if the Bulls are sellers, and then if you think the Nets at some point are going to be sellers, well, that's 5 teams. And I think this is a really good call by you, Dom. I think it's a really good call by you. Pistons Sixers, first play-in game. Loser leaves town. Winner probably heads to, I don't even know. Heads to Indiana? Heads to Atlanta? Heads to Miami? I don't know. Man, who what is the East going to shake out like? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Thanks, Tom. Jeff, what's going on, Jeff? Skeet. Goddamn. I got nothing. Juanon. What's going on, Juanon? I feel like I need you right now. Having Precious back is going to be big for us. I'll speak more on that in a second. I've said it 100 times in the stack. He's Tibbs' new Taj. December 15th is right around the corner. I hope Leon is cooking up a recipe for a bench wing. Hashtag fire Tibbs. Juanon, I don't know. It's either a very good sign for you or a very bad sign for you that we are often on the exact same page. Because I look at Precious and I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy who I want playing, 12 to 14 minutes a night as my backup center. And that's the guy that I want playing 10 to 12 minutes or whatever alongside Karl Anthony Towns. I think Precious Achiuwa is an awesome basketball player and a versatile basketball player and a guy that you could play in multiple types of playoff matchups. And I think if you want to stay true to the ethos of what this team has they have planted their flag and like, we are going to be this, and this is how we are going to win. Well, then that's the guy that you need in that spot. And I completely agree with you that it is now, I don't want to say incumbent upon, but I would love nothing more than for Leon to cook up something to bring in, not a whole lot of obvious names. I don't know. A couple guys in Brooklyn look pretty good. I know the last Brooklyn trade hasn't worked out great for us so far, but I got a couple more that I wouldn't mind. I would love to know what the price tag is in terms of draft equity on Dorian Finney-Smith. I would love to know. I'm sure it isn't going to be cheap, but I would like to know. Thank you, Juanon. Greg Film Stuff. Thank you, man. Generous super chats always mean a lot to me, as you guys know. Generous super chats after a shit burger like that, they mean even more. Okay. I know Cat is a huge part of it, but I was disappointed by the lack of ball movement. I expect more out of Bridges and OG without our star. I'm getting tired of the over-reliance on the 3, and Cade is a matchup nightmare. I don't know. The point about the over-reliance on the 3 is such a tough one, because I don't want to flat out be like, no, that's not right. I do think even in a league where, like, you have to put up, they didn't even put up 40. I'm looking at, they only put up 34 threes tonight. Like, I almost feel like you have to put up 43s a game to be not competitive, to be considered a serious team. So on a night when they only put up 34 threes, it's just like you can't escape it. The math is what it is. And I understand Boston is only one team right now. Guess what? There are going to be more Bostons coming. And it's maybe a little weird that the other best team in the East this year is Cleveland, that doesn't have quite that level of reliance on threes because they play two bigs. But the way the league is headed, I think the quicker you get yourself acclimated to just like, this is what we got to do. We got to put up 43s every night. I think it's for the best. So I'm struggling with that one, Greg. As far as the lack of ball movement, they had 27 assists on 42 made shots tonight, which I don't think is representative of how the ball moved. That's a 64 assist percentage. That's like on a night like tonight when the threes weren't going down, and like that's the thing about the Knicks. When the threes aren't going down, their default is like, all right, Brunson ISO. And he did a fair amount of that, but like they just evolve into ISO. And the fact that they still got 27 assists tonight on a night when the threes weren't falling, I think is impressive. I agree with you that the ball movement, I did not love it. What's tough for me about it is when you are playing with a traditional five, like I thought they attempted to move the ball. I just don't think it went anywhere a lot. Like advantages were not being, if Brunson wasn't creating an advantage, I just don't think advantages were there to be created. And that, if you want to put that on OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges for being like, hey, you guys are our third and fourth guys. When our number two guy is out, you have to fill a little bit of that void. You have to create an advantage. And those guys were not creating advantages. Like Deuce, I love him. I love his shooting. I love everything he does. He's not, at this point, an advantage creator. So when you take Towns out of the ecosystem, it's like they're back to one offensive creator. Is that a little disappointing? Sure. Last thing I'm going to say, give credit to the Pistons defense. I just cited for you the Knicks defensive rating ranking. The Pistons are 15th. The Pistons are a league average defense. And I thought they played a hell of a lot better than league average tonight. I thought they defended their asses off. There were a lot of possessions where I thought the Knicks made some modicum of effort to move the ball and get open looks, and just there was a piston there. The best offense the Knicks had tonight was in transition when they forced turnovers. That's why, interesting stat tonight, I'll pull it up right now. The Knicks kicked the ball around and they ended up turning the ball over 15 times. The Pistons only scored 18 points off that turnovers, which is off those turnovers. Not that bad. The Knicks turned the Pistons over 19 times and scored 26 points off of those turnovers. I would wager a guess that that's the most points the Knicks have scored off of turnovers in any game this year. Or it's damn close. Anyway, so I don't know how I got on that point, but like, yeah, the Pistons defense. Pistons defense was really good tonight. It was really good. In the half court, it was really good. Thanks, Greg. Tingus Pingus. For fans on Cloud 9 after a streak versus the NBA's laughingstocks, this defense showed the Knicks are not a title contender. Mikal's losing tendencies like sluggish screen navigation, late closeouts, carrying from Brooklyn. I don't know what you were watching tonight, Tingus. I thought his defense was pretty good tonight. Really. I thought the whole team was sluggish out of the gate. How you're putting tonight on Mikal? Like, you're seeing what you want to see. And the defense tonight being not the defense of a title contender, again, no shit. We've talked about this. It is going to be a season-long process for this team to develop championship caliber defensive habits and tendencies. See, again, it's okay to be disappointed in the loss. It's okay to be aggravated. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be all these things. Comments like this, is where I have to draw the line. It's like you're trying to make something out of, like, you take this one loss and then extrapolate it out. Like, again, this has been a really, really good basketball team for close to a month now. I don't know what to tell you. Thanks, Tigges. Armand, another one. I love Benji, but his grades are way too generous. I didn't even see his grades tonight. I will look now. I will react to Benji's grades in real time. How about that? For what it's worth, I don't think I've ever disagreed vehemently with any grades that Benji has given. Okay, we got Brunson with a B-. I have no issue with that. Bridges with a B. His defense brought him up to a B. I think if you wanted to go B- on Bridges, you probably could have. I'm okay with a B. And an OB B-, that seems very fair. Hart B+. I would have gone B there. That's the only one where I'm like, I would have gone B because I thought there were a couple of plays in the first half, certainly where his defense was just not up to par, and it stood out to me a little bit. So I would have gone B on Hart with the understanding that he was instrumental in a lot of good things that they did in the second half, which is probably what was Benji's focus here. Sims, D, fine. McBride, B, fine. Achua, B+, absolutely. I thought I kind of said it already. I think he was the Knicks' biggest bright spot tonight. And Huck Porty, B, fine. I don't have an issue with any of that. Other than Hart getting a B+ instead of a B, maybe. I don't have an issue. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. All right. Are we doing out of town? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Out of town scoreboard presented by our friends at T-Squared Social. You know the deal. Get a free draft beer when you tell them KFS sent you. You could also visit tsquaredsocial.com to learn about club memberships, trivia nights, sports leagues, and much more. T-Squared Social, of course, located on 42nd Street, just down the block from Grand Central Station. If you find yourself in Winter Village, where my family was earlier today, my God, what a mob scene. And you're like, hey, I would like a nice meal that is not fried pickles on a stick. Just go mosey on down to T-Squared Social, and they got you covered because they have an awesome menu in addition to every drink you could want under the sun. Okay, scoreboard. Cavs earlier today beat up on the Hornets. The Cavs are now 21-3. They are putting together quite the special season. I'm saving the Nuggets game for last. Thunder wiped up on the Pelicans. Pelicans fall to 5-19. I believe Brandon Ingram had a hard fall in that game. Thunder, by the way, 18-5. I'm pretty sure they have the best net rating in the NBA. Yes, they do, by a healthy-ish margin. Mavericks beat the Raptors in what was a close-ish game for the majority of it, from what I could tell. RJ Barrett, if you're curious, 8-16 from the field, 18 points, 5 assists. Nice game from him. How'd Luka do there? Got 30 from Luka. He's pretty good. Okay. Grizzlies beat the Celtics at home. Big win for the Grizzlies to move to 16-8. The Celtics drop to 19-5. I am sure. Yeah. So with their wins tonight, with Memphis and Dallas winning tonight, both of those teams passed the Knicks in the net rating. Knicks plus 7.0. They're in 6th place in net rating. Dallas 7.2, Memphis 7.3. So that group, along with Houston at plus 6.8, they're kind of in a group of 4 with Boston, Cleveland, and Oklahoma City way out in front. And then you got a gap from 8 on down. Heat beat the Suns Suns again, not with Kevin Durant. Suns have fallen to 12-10. You could argue that the Suns would be, along with the Timberwolves, along with the Lakers, the most distressing story in the Western Conference, but that would leave out your 2023 NBA champion, Denver Nuggets, who tonight lost to the Washington Wizards. The Wizards had lost 16 consecutive games. 16 straight games. And they won tonight kind of handily. I had that game on my second TV. That game was not close down the stretch. And Denver lost despite, get this, 56 points from Nikola Jokic. He had 16 rebounds and 8 assists. He was a -1 in 39 minutes, meaning the Nuggets were a -8 in the 9 minutes he sat. I know they were that without Jamal Murray. I know they were without someone else. They were without Aaron Gordon. I get it. They're thin. My God. If you are a Nuggets fan right now, how are you not utterly livid at your ownership situation? Where you literally had an NBA champion, and because your owner is not doing what he needs to do, and that ownership is a group of cheapskates, letting talent walk out the door for nothing, and trying to thread this needle with these young players, when you are the best team in the NBA, and you have a generational superstar, going to wind up probably as one of the 10 greatest players of all time in his prime. And yet this guy's never going to ask for a trade because he's not that kind of guy. I don't know that there is a fan base in the league that should be more disgusted with their ownership than the Denver Nuggets. Just disgraceful. Anyway. All right, let's finish up. G.O. What's going on, G.O.? Thank you for the very generous contribution, my friend. Free throws and no cat. CP doomed us tonight. I'm so happy you mentioned campaign. I mentioned him a few times that he was out. Talk about a game where they needed Cam to come in and give him a jolt, right? Kolek was good, but they needed Cam this game. And by the way, just someone that could give them another body so that you didn't have to, these guys weren't so tired. And if you want to, you could throw this game on no Cam because not only was he out tonight, he was out in the previous game, which is why all these guys played a ton of minutes in the previous game. But one name that I haven't heard come up yet tonight is Tom Thibodeau. And if anybody out there wants to get on Tom Thibodeau for playing his guys the minutes he played in the blowout that was 2 nights ago, and then they came out dragging tonight, absolutely within your right to do so. 100%. Anyway, credit to Detroit. One concern that I have this year is that the defense is not consistent enough to help us weather poor shooting nights. Last year's team seemed to relish getting in the mud. It's the biggest difference between the two teams, and it's not even close. That team last year, if they were in a rock fate, they're like, all right, let's load up. Let's go. Let's get it up. Yeah, they didn't always win, and I've cited the numbers before. When last year's team did not hit threes, they were abysmal. I think the record is like 5-17 in games where they hit under a third of their threes. So for as much of a reputation as that team last year had as a team that, like, hey, when the offense wasn't going well, we could still be in games like that, the numbers don't really bear that out. That said, you felt with last year's team like, okay, the offense isn't here. We'll find a way to at least stay in it down the stretch. This team, well, but here's the thing. They shot 52 or 53, whatever the hell percent they shot tonight. It's just that the threes weren't going down. This is just, they're just not a good defense yet. Like, we don't have to add any caveats. We don't have to add any, like, when they're not playing good on offense, then no, they're just not a good defense right now. Like, I know they've been playing better defense lately. They're not a good defense right now. We know they're not a good defense right now. They're not a championship caliber defense right now. I'm just choosing not to be worried because I am choosing to believe in the runway that they have. And the fact that for this team, the regular season, I'm not saying it means nothing. It's like they'll be fine. They're going to win 50 however many games, and they'll be a top 4 seed and probably a top 3 seed and like whatever. Figure it out. Figure it out. That's all. You got a long time to figure it out. You better figure it out. Thank you, Gio. Appreciate you. Adam DeFulvio, our most generous super chat of the night. Thank you so much, Adam. I thank you. We just got our ass beat. Frustrating is the buzzword of the year. Boy, oh boy. For a team that is 6th in the league in net rating and is 4th in the East, and I'm sure they'll be no worse than 3rd by the end of this month. It really has been a frustrating season. Like, if you look at not only the losses, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. Hang on. Like, the opening night in Boston, incredibly frustrating. Cleveland loss, very frustrating. Blew a 13-point lead at home. The Houston game, where you were in it down the stretch and you made no plays to win, frustrating. The Atlanta loss, oh my God, you had a 5-point lead with whatever it was a few minutes ago, frustrating. The Indiana loss, where you got kind of your doors blown off and you gave up like 8 consecutive made buckets to the Pacers, frustrating in a different way. Bulls loss, incredibly frustrating. Utah loss. You lost to a team that's going to finish with like 12 wins on the year. Frustrating. And then the Dallas loss. No Luka. You lost to that team and you gave up 129 points. Frustrating. And now tonight. Every one of these 9 losses, incredibly frustrating. And then you have your frustrating wins. Your frustrating win against the Hornets. Your frustrating win that you had against the Nets, where you almost let that team come back and it took a Jalen Brunson shot at the buzzer to get the win. So add it all up, I count 12 games where we were all feeling pretty good afterwards, and 11 games where you were feeling some modicum of frustration. That's a lot of frustration. It's a lot. It's a lot of frustration. So I hear you, man. I hear you. Thanks, Adam. Jonathan Harpula, thank you for the very generous contribution, Jonathan. That was bullshit. The Knicks better than that. Says one smart shirt verifying my drunk New Jersey transit thoughts. Says one smart shirt verifying. You're drunk, so I don't know what you mean by that. But are the Knicks better than that? Yes, the Knicks are better than that. Absolutely, they're better than that. And that's the most frustrating part of this game is they came out in the first half and they played like a team that was not, that level of play was not befitting the team that they are. All right, Mark, shout out to Mark, by the way. He's on the 1s and 2s tonight. I think maybe say some smart shit verifying my drunk New Jersey transit thoughts. Okay. What smart thing am I going to say? I don't really have much smart things left to say. I will say, I don't know if I've ever any smart things to say. I would implore you and everybody to, if there is a bad loss, and tonight was a bad loss, put it into the context of how they have been playing recently. And I think the more, because early in the season, I think the performances like this were like one every other game or one every third game. Now it's been for like 3+ weeks, it's like one every 4 games, right? Maybe one every 5. Like, as long as it sticks to that, one every 4, one every 5, one every 6, something like that, then we're fine. So, which is why I said, go out in Toronto on Monday and go do what you're supposed to do and play the right way from the opening tip, and don't let RJ Barrett embarrass you. Because let me tell you, if you're not prepared for that guy, and if you're not prepared for Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick, who's hitting everything from 3, just like this Pistons team, the Raptors are a good enough team. They have enough talent to beat you if you don't come out serious. So go out, come out serious, and win the game. Thanks, Jonathan. S. Inexplicably Bad D. How is this a Tibbs team? I'll tell you how it's a Tibbs team. It's a Tibbs team because he is tinkering and he's experimenting and he has tried a lot of stuff and he's going to try more stuff. And he's going to continue to institute the defense that he believes is the best defense to win them a title in terms of the scheme and everything. And as we have seen every year, and he tells you this. He tells you this. All you have to do is ask him, and he'll tell you. It is a process from the first day of training camp to the final day of the season. And for him, it is all about that process and making incremental gains. And we have seen their defense get better over the course of a season every single year. Every single year that he has been the coach, they have gotten between better and markedly better over the course of the season. I do not think this team will be an exception. Thanks, S. Kevin Danishevsky. Thank you, Kevin. I'm now convinced that a stretch 5 is the trade instead of a wing. We have shooting to insulate Precious Achiuwa. Turner would be amazing. Stewart more realistic. Is Stewart a stretch 5? I mean, I know what I'm like. Yes, technically he is a stretch 5. Is he really a stretch 5? Isaiah Stewart this year did not attempt a 3 tonight. Did not attempt a 3 in his last game. He has made Isaiah Stewart 1 3-pointer in his last 7 games. In 24 games this year, he has attempted, not made, he has attempted 23s. That's not a stretch 5. It's not. I know he took a bunch last year. Attempted 175 last year. He made 38% of them. That's really good. I don't know that anybody ever really guarded him last year. Which to me, if you're a stretch 5, people guard you. That's the definition of a stretch 5. People guard you. I just don't know that people are ever going to guard Isaiah Stewart. Now, Turner, I'm fascinated by the idea of Miles Turner. I would probably go for the wing. Miles Turner's really good. I don't know. First of all, I don't know that they have enough to get him. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. Thanks, Kev. Adam D. Fulvio, thank you for another very, very generous super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. This one hurt, but we are too good of a squad to play like that. I think we need to start holding the squad to a higher level. They're extremely talented. Keep in mind, tonight, they were missing their second best player and their other all-star in Karl Anthony Towns. They were missing their seventh man and a guy who has been absolutely vital to their efforts all year. And to say nothing of the fact that, like, Mitch is still out and they're still like they never really filled the Landry Shamet role. They played two rookies tonight. All that being said, the effort was not what you needed. And yes, I use the word effort intentionally. Like, all those things I said at the top of the show, connectivity and communication and just being in unison as a defensive unit, being aware of your rotations, like, that stuff takes effort. And the effort was not there tonight. And I agree with you. They need to be putting forth that effort more often. The fact that they are putting it forth more often and have been putting it forth more often of late has me not quite as like I'm not ready to be quite as harsh on tonight as it sounds like you are. I do not begrudge you for 1 second for being as harsh as you are. Truly. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Luis Estudo, thank you for the generous super chat. A lot of very, very generous people tonight on an ugly night. Tonight was a great example that Towns' offensive impact at the 5 goes far beyond how much he scores. Let's not overreact to a tough loss without him. Bridges' total inability to initiate offense is insanely frustrating, though. I think that your mileage may vary on how frustrating it is to you. It should be frustrating to everybody, whether it's insanely frustrating as it is to you or like mildly to slightly more than mildly frustrating as it is to me, just because I don't know that I ever counted on that / thought that's what this team really needed. I'm not saying it's not important. It is important. And you saw tonight when they didn't get it, how much it impacted them negatively that they didn't get it. His like initiation abilities should not matter in high level playoff series. If they're healthy, I don't think they'll matter at all, because that's not what you need from him. What you do need from him, and what has been insanely frustrating to me thus far this year, is his defensive performance. And to that point, I would argue that tonight was one of his better showings, if not his best showing, on defense. So, worth noting. Towns' offensive impact at the 5, like that, I've been screaming that from the rooftops all year. It's why you need him, and it's why you play him at the 5. It opens everything up. It opens everything up. Thanks, Lewis. Appreciate you. Busy. Hi, Busy. How are you? I don't know if this week's fantasy matchup is going your way, buddy. Just throwing that out there. Mikal having 0 fouls and Cade having his stat line is criminal. Make that man feel you. All right. That's a counterpoint to what I just said, that I thought Mikal played a good game defensively. I thought Mikal did a nice job tonight defensively. I think Cade, he's going to hit those threes. You kind of tip your cap. I thought they got into him more as the game went along. Should you have fouled him more to make your presence felt? Sure, that's fair. Cade tonight made 9 field goals. He was 9 of 17 from the field, and he was 6 of 7 from the line. He barely shot 500. I understand he hit a lot of threes, but I don't know. I don't think that's a guy you're going to physical off his game, so to speak. But I hear you. It's fair. I didn't see it that way, but if you did, I'm not gonna begrudge you. Thank you, Busy. Ja so focused. Hello, Ja. Feels like this would hurt less if Hart kept his composure better and Bridges had better shot selection. Second effort wasn't there too often defensively. I mean, they just weren't rotating. They just were either miscommunicating or not rotating. Both are bad. You know, Hart, composure, like, he had one of these games last year against LA. He had this game. Hopefully it's his only game. The Bridges shot selection, I don't know. Was it that bad? Didn't seem great. But I don't know. That wasn't a huge issue for me. Just make the shots you could take. Thanks, John. The Sweet Sweets. I like that. And I like the very generous contribution. Thank you so much, the Sweet Sweets. That means a lot. The league is upset for 1, Rick promotion, 2, cat trade loophole, 3, Dolan's league votes, 4, Toronto lawsuit. I think the league would pay money, and a not insignificant sum of money, to get James Dolan out of here. I think Adam Silver hates James Dolan. I think the league doesn't like James Dolan. And I think all of your points are extremely valid. Now, let's see where you go. My tinfoil hat says Silver and the refs are punishing us for that. Far-fetched, but wouldn't put it past the NBA. Bad whistle all season. The whistle this season has not risen to that level for me. I am notably if I am notorious, if my notoriety for my Tibbs love is at 10 out of 10, my notoriety for I'm generally just not going to be the person that gets upset by the refereeing / gets on the refs is a 9 out of 10. So I'm probably skewed. I have not seen the reffing as egregiously bad this year. That said, does Jalen Brunson get one of the worst star whistles in the league? Absolutely. Number 2, do I think Josh Hart had a point tonight? You're going to give me a tech, but because it's the fourth quarter and because I'm me and he's him, he doesn't get a tech. I probably would have said whatever he said to the ref too to get myself tossed. Because that's fucking bullshit. It is. Now, do I think that ref issued that tech because of some league conspiracy? That's a bridge too far. Do I think the league doesn't like James Dolan? Yeah, I think the league doesn't like James Dolan. Thank you, the Sweet Sweets. Kevin Danishevsky, you won the week. Celebrate. You know, it's funny. I was sitting here as they were about to lose that game, and I could not remember if I had picked 4-0 or 3-1. I picked 3-1. If I did, great job by me. What foresight. What incredible foresight. If I had been given the chance before tonight, actually, that's a good question. If after knowing the Cat was going to be out and Campaign was going to be out, if you had given me the chance to go back and change my 3-1 to 4-0, would I have? Probably. I probably would have changed it. But I didn't get the opportunity to do that, so I'll take the win. Thanks, Kev. Huzzoo, just throwing this out there. Grayson Allen. Somebody emailed me about a Mitch for Grayson Allen swap, and I think I appreciate the logic. I'm not saying it's crazy. I think both teams say no. I think Grayson Allen is very important to what the Suns want to do on both ends. I think they're in bed with Nurkic, whether they want to be or not. I think Nurkic is very important to what they want to try to do on offense. And for the Knicks, you have And that's the other thing. Grayson's a guard. Like, I know he's technically a wing. He's a guard. In terms of like when real wings see him in the playoffs and they see him and how much resistance he's able to give, he's a guard. So I'm not adding another guard to this team. Not with Campaign already here, and obviously with Deuce coming off the bench. I don't think they need another guard. And again, I'm being very purposeful with why I'm saying he's a guard, even though he's technically a wing. I need a legit wing. Hush with another one. Avdia, Whitmore, Olynyk, Brown. So for Brown, do you mean who the hell does he? I don't even know who the hell he means in terms of Brown. Bruce Brown? I like Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown makes a lot of money, and I would need to trade Mitch and Precious for Bruce Brown. I'm not doing that. Olynyk, no. I'm sorry. I'm not relying on Kelly Olynyk's defense in a playoff game. Whitmore, I know he's not playing right now for the Rockets. He is an incredibly talented offensive player. I don't think that trade makes sense. Avdia, man, if you're telling me Avdia is available, I'm getting on the phone. I say this last post game? Just looking up what he's shooting from three this year. All right, he's back down to 33%. He was at 37% last year. He's put up 4 attempts a game. Effective field goal percentage has kind of cratered. He was at 56 effective field goal percentage last year. He is at a 48 effective field goal percentage this year. Although I'm always leery about judging guys when they are on bad teams. And I know the Blazers have been spunky. They still have the third worst net rating in the league. They were getting outscored by almost 10 points per 100 possessions. They're very bad. So I don't know. Are the Blazers taking calls on Avdia? If they are, again, I'd put in a call. I'll also say he started the year as a starter. Then he went to the bench. Then he started a couple of games, and now he's back on the bench. So, yeah. I don't know. Played 24 minutes last night. Who's starting ahead of him? They're starting, the Kamara kid. Ayton, Simons, Grant, Sharp, Kamara. Yeah, he's coming off the bench. That's the other thing. He's playing with, I know Scoot didn't play last night, but, if he's on the bench and he's playing the majority of his minutes with Scoot, that's not what you want. I'm sure that guy's not having fun. All right. Thanks, Hush. OG team. Javonte Green fits Tibbs' play style perfectly. I don't know that the Knicks are going to bring in, forget a non-center. I don't think the Knicks are going to bring in any player who can't reliably make threes. If you got a player on the floor that can't reliably make threes, that player's not going to play in the playoffs. So, yeah. I like Javonte Green. He's good. He's fun, great success story, the whole thing. Thanks, OG team. All right. We got a couple from Busy. Thank you, Busy. 15 assists. Speed him up. Make him feel uncomfortable. You see what they let Brown get away with guarding Dame last night. Hand check him. And then another one. 15 assists means you let him draw 2 to the ball and shred our point of attack. If I'm critical of Mikal, trust me, it's valid. I think that's more a criticism of the scheme. And also, can't we just tip our cap to the guy? If anything, OG should have been guarding him more, and I thought OG did guard him a lot. But the Pistons are very purposeful and good with their screening. They screen well. You think they should have been more physical with him? I'm not going to disagree with you. I didn't. To me, I am worried. I was more focused on the very easily fixable stuff that like New York just clearly either did not do or did when they shouldn't have done. Like the turnovers, inexcusable. The missed free throws, inexcusable. The lack of rotations, inexcusable. The lack of attention to detail generally across the board on defense. Set multiple efforts. I sound like fucking Tibbs. Communication, all that stuff. Like, do all that, and bring a little fire and desire, to quote Clyde, the kind of stuff you showed in the third quarter. If you do all that for the whole game, we're not sitting here having a conversation about whether or not the defense against Cade Cunningham should have been more aggressive. All that said, are you right? Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Busy. Oh, sorry. One more. Can't tip my cap to the guy when you have 0 fouls, reach in, strip the ball, and make the refs call something or pick his pocket. Okay. It's fair. It's fair. We're slightly agreeing to disagree. I think he did some nice things, but we'll agree to disagree here. Thank you, Busy. Kevin Danishevsky with one more. Valanciunas for the non-cat minutes. I don't want Jonas Valanciunas on this basketball team. Again, guy can't play him in the playoffs. All right. Last one from Adam. Again, thank you, Adam. Thank you for these awesome streams. I love this team. I think we have some awesome times to come. Thanks for being an awesome ambassador for the crazy Knicks fans out there. That's really very sweet of you to say, Adam, and undeserved. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the extraordinary generosity tonight. Seriously, dude. Christmas season's coming up. I know everybody's pinching pennies right now, so it means an extra lot. And I mean, I said this when I first started doing this. This is free therapy for me. This is how I get it out. This is how I work out my own thoughts. And a lot of times, even like, so I was busy just now, like stuff that I don't see and I don't think about and isn't as important to me. Somebody will bring it up and then I'll be like, oh, you know what? It's a valid point, So we're all in this together. I agree with you. This is a fun, special team. I think they'll get better. I think we're going to have a lot fewer of these sorts of games moving forward. And I'm very excited for what is in store. So leave it at that. Thanks so much, Adam. Appreciate you. And thank you to Mark, my main man, Mark, for being on the ones and twos behind the scenes tonight. He did an awesome job as always. I think Andrew was lurking in the background. Shout out to Andrew. And most of all, shout out to all of you for checking out another episode or another KFS postgame live stream. And if you're listening to this, another episode of the KFS podcast. If you dig the show, and again, you're feeling generous this holiday season, take the time, give us a 5-star review or rating. Give us a generous review. Tell your friends, tell your loved ones to check us out. Lots more great stuff on the way. I will be back with an episode with Jeremy that we are recording tomorrow. That'll be dropping midnight, of course, Sunday into Monday. And then, of course, post-game coming your way and pre-game also. So all the usual stuff. Stay tuned. Appreciate you, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you for checking out another episode of the KFS Postgame Show presented by BetUS. We'll talk to you later.